Hey, everybody, we're live with the Candlepower Hour with another episode, and we are bringing back Blaxmyth, the Ghetto Metal band from Los Angeles. This time
Ghetto Metal,
around,
baby.
we have with us Blaze, the female power voice of the rap trio. And this is an incredible band that we are working with. We're happy to have them. So let's welcome
That's
Blaxmyth
what's
to
up.
Candlepower Hour. Hi, everybody.
Woo!
Going
All
on?
right, all
Thanks for
right.
having us.
Welcome to the show.
All
This is
right, all right.
great. I'm happy you guys are back because we have some questions for you. Let's get right to it. Blaxmyth, Ghetto Metal. What is it? Describe it.
180.
Well, please,
Sacrifice.
my friend, go ahead.
Well, ghetto metal is a term that was coined by D-Roc, the executioner, the late great D-Roc, of Body Count. If you're familiar with Body Count, which is the band that Ice-T fronts, you got Ernie C, Vince D, Steel Will. That's what we used to call him. He used to also be a drummer in Blacksmith for a long time ago. And my guy, I can't remember the last guy's name, but Al P, Lil Ice, and I know I'm leaving one person out. I can't think of his name right now, but D-Roc was a part of the band back in the early '90s, and we ended up being in a band with D-Roc called Pitch Black. So this was what he was doing aside from Body Count. And we were bubbling, man. We had a lot of things going on. We were wrecking shop, really creating this monster of a band, really lighting up the LA scene, SoCal scene. Went out of state, was really blazing, and unfortunately, D-Roc succumbed to lymphoma. It was something that he was battling that we weren't really knowing about. He kind of hid that, but it became evident that something was the matter with him. And he succumbed to that, but he gave us the term ghetto metal. That's where we got it from. And ghetto metal is a style of music. It's just not melanated people playing metal, but it has heavy grooves. It has a bluesy feel. It has thrash. It has punk in it, and is mixed with hip hop. And I know that Sacrifice can help me if I'm forgetting something, but all those things combine to in one. So that is the term ghetto metal, and now you have people new to the scene that are trying to steal a term, attributing to a genre of music that they newly created. And it's like, no, you didn't newly create that. This thing was out way before you even thought about probably doing music or even having a band. So we don't mind the promotion of the term, but you can't steal the term and the authenticity of where it came from. And we have a saying that we always use, which is the tree branches have to respect the roots. So they're standing on the shoulders of people that came before them, people that pioneered, sounds like we stand on shoulders, like D-Roc stood on shoulders, like, Metallica stood on shoulders, going all the way back to Little Richard, Big Mama Thornton, and, all those people that created the whole rock and roll sound, so it's kind of disrespectful actually if they know and they continue to do it. So we just are starting to really cement that out because we don't want that legacy to be tampered with. D-Roc's not here. He can't speak for himself, but you know what can? The abundance of receipts that predate everything. It's like locked in cement. So it really can't be stolen. It's a fool's errand for them to try to steal that term. So that's what ghetto metal is, a fusion of all those different aspects of music that I had linked. And I'm quite sure Sacrifice could add to that.
I mean, you said everything. I would just only add that, strangely
Speak up,
enough.
Sacrifice.
Oh, can you hear me? Is that better?
Speak up. Yep.
Strangely enough, at Brimstone, Brim covered everything in detail. Things that I would say, I would only add to that. Ironically enough, the term "branches got to respect the root" came from a song that we wrote a long time ago called "Bootleg Rockstar." So it kind of befitting for those who are actually out there trying to, uh, you know, uh, take something that they didn't create foundationally, and like I agree with Brim, it's a major disrespect to come up into this space of good music and harmony. Everybody's welcome, right? But you gotta at least honor those who came before you. That's bare minimum. You wouldn't even be here had it not been for rock and roll legends and greats to allow you to the platform to express yourself. So if you're going to do it, just be honest about it. Be true. Virtue speaks volumes.
That's
And I think
profound.
at the end of the day, we live in a day and era where it's not like you can't search this out or find out when you come up with stuff. We're
Correct.
beyond suing, the suing era. At this point, it's kind of like common sense. You got
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
We all
yeah.
saw the transition of hip hop and how it essentially and in a way dropped a nuclear bomb on rock and roll in the early 90s. Um, how did Blaxmyth discover hip hop, or were you hip hop first or rock and rollers first? How did it blend? And how did Blaxmyth develop from that?
I think that is we all would have to give our individual perspectives of how we came into Blacksmith with our history and preferences of what took us in this direction. So I'll speak for myself. With me, I was doing rap rock. That's what I used to call it back in the day. I used to see people like, Run DMC, would Walk This Way. I think Tone Loc, Funky Coleman. Then he had the little just the guitars from that aspect. I think the Young MC Bust the Move. You hear certain things like that. And for me, I was like, wow, this is something else because at that time, I don't think anybody had really put it all together. So that kind of like sparked my curiosity in that. But hip hop prior to that, was bubbling. So just taking the like you said, that powder keg that was dropped on rock and roll, that the rebellion that hip hop was, you have Ice Cube, NWA, then Tupac, and then you had the East Coast rappers, Karis One, Nas, Wu Tang Clan, just so many other aspects. So to me, it was just like a natural convergence to Rage Against the Machine,
Hmm.
System of the Down, Body Count, these people. Who else? I know I'm missing a couple of people. No disrespect to anybody,
Lincoln
but
Park.
yeah,
Big
Lincoln Park.
Pun,
Who? Well, yeah,
Big
Big
Punisher.
Pun. All these different people. So when Blacksmith, because Sacrifice brought me in to Pitch Black, excuse me, which D-Roc was starting. He bought me in, and I was already into that type of vibe. So just hearing the tracks that D-Roc created was just like mind blowing at the time. Just to hear these different things, like, man, we get the F with this, like we get to like lay down our stuff over this, and we had always been those that we just it's in us to speak and to defend people. We don't like to see people get ran over. So that kind of like shaped where we went with the music. It wasn't about bees and hoes and how much money I have. It was just a certain direction that we went into. So I think for me, that would more or less speak to the power of the music was just phenomenal. The energy that it had mixed with the energy of rock, hip hop, it was just powerful. So that's my long story long.
Awesome.
You
Blaze.
want to go ahead, Blaze?
I think for me it was a little different because I'm one of the last vocalists that was added, and the long awaited only female vocalist. So I had history already as a teenager listening to Linkin Park or System of a Down. So I enjoyed that rage aspect of music, that release of rebelliousness, and at the same time knowing that that rebelliousness comes from oppression and having experienced just the rap lifestyle, like what people rap about, what you hear them talk about, what you hear Eazy-E talk about, what Ice Cube talked about, like having had some form of I wet my toes into that and understand that lifestyle beyond what the music is and beyond what you hear about it. So when I came into their music in particular, and they were Blacksmith at this point, it was mind blowing. And then the energy that Sacrifice and bring, I think it's an explosion that takes place every time they're on stage. So being a part of that was just like Brim just said, we all have that something in us that makes us want to look outside of ourselves. I can't even look at these men and think like I can't even see how they would act, or how I can't even formulate them talking about bees and hoes and all of that, in all honesty, because it doesn't correlate, because their shit is hard, but it's about some other stuff, it's about
There's
oppression, it's about injustice. So for me, all of the little bits and pieces that I've lived through my whole life kind of was a culmination of, okay, this is where I can put the unrestricted flowing feminine energy into this deep masculine, because the feminine can also be powerful. It doesn't always have to be like I got to shake my ass to make you look at me or to make you listen to me. So that's what it is for me, or
that's
what it was
profound.
then anyway. It's something different now, but
Yeah,
as we all evolve.
sure. Sacrifice.
Yeah, just briefly, what brought me, what my evolution in music in general, leading up to Pitch Black. I'd always been an MC. I was like everybody else I knew, just try to write rhymes and break in the industry. And I also wrote a lot of R&B music for people, lyrics and whatnot. So I was always, trying to, cultivate my own sound or my own style of lyricism, as to make an impact. Always motivated by MCs that some people may or may not know, like Pharoah Munch, which those who know will know who he is. Genius with lyricism. Um, uh, uh, of course, KRS-One. You get people like that. Public Enemy, what they represented because they were about the movement of the people. Zach from Rage Against the Machine. He's to me a poet's poet. The way he articulates and expresses himself. Uh, Serge from System of a Down. All these guys to me help me formulate my outlook and perspective when it comes to lyricism involved in music. And then D-Roc, man, like Brim said it best, his music will just motivate you to just be creative. There's certain people that can produce music that automatically when you hear it, you got to stop and you got to write to it. And D-Roc was one of those people. His the way he made music inspired anybody who wrote. You heard it, you had to write something to it. And also, I want to say when it comes to certain musicians on that level, it's easier to write when the music is that great because it brings so much out of you, right? And D-Roc was one of those people for me. Yeah, and of course, I want to say Body Count. Looking up to Ice-T and seeing what he was able to accomplish in music and being a rebel at the same time, really pushing the limits of freedom of expression to the masses, even when they were actually, in a heavy situation with the song "Cop Killer" and how he stood on business and he kept on pushing that agenda. The creative outlet that this music allows is beautiful to me. Because you can express so many different things, not just politics, but it moves you to express deeper forms and perspectives of love and everyday lifestyle and living. And so, all that to say, D-Roc was a heavy inspiration, and that's why I'm here today.
Incredible. Well, here I think about hip hop and rap lyrics, and I think about rock and roll. And you mentioned Aerosmith, and you mentioned how the rock and rollers tried to bridge the gap back in the 80s when hip hop came around. I think we all saw what was happening and how powerful the message and the movement was becoming. So I think what happened was, and you let me ask you, the lyrical content of hip hop versus what became of rock and roll in the 80s, I believe that hip hop lyrics and structure saved rock and roll as well. You call it rebellion, rebel music. Rock and roll to me is hip hop. What are your thoughts?
I would agree with you. You know, when hip hop at first came out, if you look at the historical perspective, people thought that hip hop was a fad. I don't know if you remember that, but they thought that it wasn't going to last. It was just something that was going to pass by. But as we can see, looking backwards to today, that it's been an unmovable force. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. You know, it might slide in popularity, and I have a thought as to why it has slid in popularity. But the organic roots of hip hop was that rebellion. It was about knowledge. It was about code talking. You know, getting the message from one side of the nation to the other side of the nation. Everybody was, together and bonding under, a banner. And, there's certain people that tell you how hip hop was ultimately infiltrated because of the power that was in it, and the forces or the powers that be did not want that type of power to be centered in an artist that can motivate people and instruct people and teach people and wake people up out of the deep sleep that they were put into. So I agree with you 1000%. If you look at the rock and roll and where it was once upon a time and to where hip hop ultimately went, I think hip hop took over where rock left off in terms of being this hardcore stuff. You never had gangster rock, but you had gangster hip hop.
Love
You
it.
never had people set tripping on the level they did in hip hop that they did in rock. You never had rockers with attitude like that whole thing. It's just and I'm not talking about rockers that specifically had attitude, but I'm talking about like NWA, that whole type of vibe. So, yeah, I think that it's a fact that at one point hip hop did save, rock and music altogether. It took it to another level.
Blaze,
Well, I think that it's an extension of it in a sense. I think just as seasons come, I feel that it to me it's more hip hop for me is storytelling. Like when you talk about like rap or gangster rap, it was a form of expression. And I think there was freedom, not just freedom in that, but that is rebellion to be able to speak up, to say that you're black and you're proud. There's a certain way of empowering yourself and empowering others, and I think that's where the danger was, right? As the brother just said, Brim just said, it was infiltrated. Some people may say it was infiltrated because of the power that it has. How many of us can relate on one spectrum, from one spectrum to the other? We can all relate.
we had
Yeah.
the 60s and Vietnam. We had protest music of the 70s. We had the 1980s who protested no nukes and the Cold War. And then for a brief moment, rock and roll sort of lost its way and it returned. And it also returned with hip hop. So I do agree. And I am somebody who absolutely believes that hip hop does belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hip hop is a major part of the attitude of rock and roll and punk rock. And the fact that you're able to
Yeah.
brandish the lyrics, the lyrical content of rap music with the heavy metal guitars and the fucking amazing grooves that you have is I think what stamps Blaxmyth as a force to reckon with today.
Thank you.
I believe that because of your upbringing and where you come from and the fact that you know history only helps to deliver your message.
Thank you.
And so, that's, I thought I'd throw that out because of where you come from. Like, I want to ask you a question about even a film that you were a part of before, and it was called 41st and Central, the true story of the LA Panthers. Can you explain that a little bit to us, what you did with this project? Sounds amazing.
Oh, it was a
Mhm.
great project that myself and Blaze were privileged to be brought on by a person that we all three of us knew very
Mhm.
well. His name was Gregory Everett, aka G Bone, and he was a genius to me. He wrote and produced that movie, and we came on and added some financing, and we would do different things together. I would go to his house and go to meet all the Panthers, and schedule different interviews, and I had a chance to meet a lot of people, that were affiliated with that incident on 41st and Central. We learned a lot about, the FBI and COINTELPRO, beyond what I already knew. It was just the intimate details, the assassinations that took place of the young youth that was trying to fight oppression. These were children,
Mhm.
basically, 18, 19 to 21, 22, right around the age that were being assassinated by the police departments across the country. So the episode on 41st and Central was a raid that took place by the LAPD, which was an assassination attempt, to basically kill everybody that was inside of the building. So we had some success at different screenings and different film festivals and things of that nature. We were honored by the city of Los Angeles as well, and it's a great historical document, that will stand as the truth, stands the test of time. So that it's especially about the LA chapter of the Black
Mhm.
Panthers. All the cities had different chapters, so this was about the LA chapter. So yeah,
Incredible. Well, the Black Panthers were the first folks who established school lunches. A lot of folks don't understand and know that.
hmm
So it was
the
an
breakfast
incredible
program.
Mhm.
organization, and
Yeah,
it's worthy of a lyrics. You know. So now I do have another question for Blaxmyth because again we're very excited with your involvement with us and Candlepower Records. Thank you and welcome aboard. We're fucking stoked.
Oh, thank
Tell
you.
us about Blaxmyth as a group, where you guys have been, the different shows, and some of the different events that you've performed. We'd like to know about that and how you guys are doing today.
sacrifice or
Can you
blaze.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What first thing that comes to mind is one of our claims to fame would be Bodog Music Battle of the Bands, in which they were seeking to sign the best unsigned bands that garnered some attention in their areas, and throughout America and Canada, they were searching for that particular band to give $1 million contract to, and it was the biggest reality TV show of its kind at that time, maybe still unmatched as far as the number of people that were on the show. Um, but we had heard about that right after D-Roc's passing, and we got involved, and we battled it out with all these different bands. And out of 2,700 bands in
20, 7,600 family.
27 in the first region, and then 76, I
Okay.
believe, right? So 2,700 in the first region, mean our region on the West Coast, we had to win in order to garner us a position on the show. One of 10 bands were able to make it. We won. We beat out 2,700 bands. And then we battled across America. And out of 7,600 bands in total, we became first runner up, and I don't like to lick my wounds, but we should have won that show. If they were being real, we would have won that show because
Is
we.
that clip that I sent you, Brim? Is that the clip that Sacrifice is talking about? That win? Because found a clip and sent it to you
Uh,
of you
I,
guys winning and saying that you were the first out of the 9 that were getting chosen.
no, that was
No.
for that's at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when we
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
performed there. And
Yeah.
that was after, that was to go battle the 7,600. So we did the 2,700 and we got it.
Y'all sound like
You know,
300 to
we won.
7,600.
Yeah. So we won there. And then we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that's where they chose the ones that was going to go on tour to battle going across the country. And we were the first ones where Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols was
yeah.
like just enamored. And, Bill Duffy from the Cult and Biff Naked, they were like, you guys are on. And we went straight to the tour bus while everybody else battled it out. And then that's that clip that you're talking about.
That was a proud moment, if I can say, because we didn't know how tight a lot of these bands were, but every time we took the stage, and still to this day, we know we go out there almost like we're going to battle because we want to make sure that we're operating at our highest level of performance, and so we know it takes a battle sometimes to do that, and we're up for that in a good way, not a negative way, So that's what it felt like to us, and we were able to get that instant success, man, and it was a mind blower. But uh, just to keep it going, we've been a lot of different shows here and there, mostly West Coast, but we've traveled all over America and done shows, all the different locations that the tour Bodog took us to, iconic places that we played at, Tipitina's, different places throughout Texas. We actually performed for the billionaire Calvin Ayers, writing. I think it was at his house or some studio. I can't remember.
No, it was at a studio in Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah, so he
Nice.
was the guy who kind of funded the whole show, and he allowed us to perform there in front of him, and of course that we were moved forward because of the success of that particular show. So we've had some spotlights here and there, but nothing like what's coming.
Right.
Nothing
There
And
you
like
just
go.
to, just to pick up where he missed off, we performed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And like you said, we did a lot of other places and events, festivals, had a chance to, perform with some major acts. And, it's just been a blessing, man, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
I'm talking to 3 quiet, polite, reserved individuals. On stage, this is not you. You are fire. Blaze, you are amazing. And I am being
Thank you.
honest and upfront. With that said, Blaze, your inspirations, who do you love to listen to? Who did you grow up with as women in rock, women in hip hop and entertainment? Who
Oh
inspired you?
gosh. So many different inspirations. Latin American music, different eras, different genres, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Uh, I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin and Cyndi Lauper and Vicente Fernandez all in the same day. So, I really feel like music was just a form of communication for me. So I was communicating with these artists as they were, showcasing or telling their story and learning how to tell my own in a different fashion. I was more of a poet versus, a performer as you see these men on stage and, how wild they get. I always say if there was a chandelier, they'd be off of it. They'd be hanging from it. So that's a thought. I guarantee you they'll get on there.
Right.
But I mean, for me, it's a who else did I listen to? Tina Turner, um, Gwen Stefani. Who else? Just there's so many to just,
Well, let me
to
ask you
even.
this. You're listening to so many vocalists, singers, performers, and now you are pounding your message through rap music. How did you transition and what inspired you to become a rapper over a singer, vocalist, or do you do
Hmm.
both?
Maybe, remember I mentioned that I kind of wet my toe into like the gangster life, and just when gangster rap was really really big. I was young and I had my experiences, and I think that shaped my outlook of what it really is for me, what my experience was. And it is a different form. So that exposed me to a certain level of aggression in the streets. So it's a different form of poetry for me. It's a way of embodying my femininity and my womanhood however I want to embody it. And it's not always going to be pretty, and I'm not always going to be wearing an apron or being polite. So
Wow.
And I would like to
I
add to
like
that.
that. Brim, anything to say about that?
I think when Sack said wanted to add something to it,
mhm.
I'll follow up after him.
Real quick, just a brief. I just want to
Speak
say,
up, bud.
Can you put your camera down? Because your face is dropping out of this.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry
out
about
of the
that.
shot.
I should be more professional. I apologize. Um, Let me say, just coming behind what Blaze said. One thing that a lot of people need to understand: that rock and roll was started by women, a black woman in particular. So this is full circle, man. And I don't think they get enough respect. Women in general, stemming from the first one, the mother, who actually influenced Chuck Berry, who actually influenced Little Richard and all these other people. Uh, Stemming from
Elvis.
that, yeah, Elvis and everybody. It to me, it's kind of ironic or kind of sad, low key, that women don't get the just, because when you really look, there's some women out there that's killing it, that pioneered and ushered in a lot of genres in this, not just stemming from the first, but different women along the way, powerhouses. So yeah, we had to have a Blaze, but this is made
So
for
I say I'm
women.
the long awaited, even though they didn't know, or even though maybe some may have tried, but
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Hmm.
That's fantastic. Okay, everybody. So, with Blaxmyth, you have new music coming out. You have a new single that you're about to drop. Wake Up to the Nightmare. Wait till you hear this, everybody. What's going on with Blaxmyth, and what are your future plans for this year and coming up?
Well, we
Besides
just
Candlepower.
yeah, I was about to say we just
exactly.
signed a distribution deal with Candlepower. And we're very excited about that. And we are in the lab creating, a whole nother batch of music. So, we're looking at getting out on the road and, going to see some of this green earth and, taking our vibration and our energy to wake up the masses. I truly and firmly believe that our show is second to none, especially when we're operating on all cylinders. You don't beat 7,600 bands, and you're not good. And to be able to have celebrities, the legends like Johnny Rotten, he's going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to co-sign and tell you, how good you are, to tell the world how good you are. And these other people that come to our shows that have seen, talent the world over and tell you, man, you guys are like the best band or one of the best bands, my favorite band, all this other stuff, to have people at certain times when we are running optimally, scared to go on after you or not wanting to go on after you, in terms of following your show. That's a good thing. And even on our worst nights, where I think we just had like a disastrous show, people are still like, man, you guys are phenomenal,
Right.
So I just would encourage everybody, to come see something that is really representative of great entertainment. And, we leave it all on the stage. We come to kick some
Yeah, you
ass
do.
and tear down the house. And, it is what it is. We take pride. And one of the things I will say for me, back when we first started, people used to question, like, Sacrifice was saying, well, why are you guys doing this rock music? You guys are brothers, and we got it from the brothers, from the so-called white folks. Nobody understood it, so we had to really go to war. That's how I felt. Like, you questioning us, we're about to, F stuff up in here. You're about to really see what time the clock is striking. We're about to lay it down. And, it's just a natural ramp up. Like, it's just wartime to me. That's how I feel personally.
Awesome. Awesome. Blaxmyth, I'm very, very stoked that you came on here for a wonderful conversation, and Blaze, that you got to come on and we got to meet you.
Yes, thank you
Everybody
so
out
much for
there,
having me.
follow
Female energy,
Blacksmith on
baby.
Instagram, on Facebook, TikTok. You got to check out their videos. Stay tuned for some incredible recordings, and you are going to see them on the global stage. We're all going to do our best to get these guys going and get them up. So,
Let's go.
everybody, thank you for enjoying this conversation with
No, thank
Blacksmith.
you,
Thank you,
Diego.
Blacksmith, for coming on to this show, and
Thank
we
you. The
will hit you
Candlepower
up on
Hour.
the next one. Peace
Blacksmith
and
is
love,
ghetto
everybody.
metal.
That's
Candle
what's
Power
up.
Hour out.
Blacksmith and Candlepowers.
Blacksmith.
And we look forward to seeing you guys. Come check us out when we come to your town. Come see us.
Boom. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Peace.
Download those episodes, like and subscribe to the Candlepower Hour at electricast.com and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Electricast.